And it appears that Fred Barbash with the Washington Compost, another commie propaganda reporter, is so interested in what President Trump says, but not what the communist, Marxist, socialist, terrorist, Democratic liberals say. Watch this. Typical propaganda coming from the Washington Compost that covers for the communist, Marxist, socialist, terrorist of the Democratic Liberal Party. Typical. So typical. These degenerate bastards at the Washington Compost, because that's what they are, a bunch of communist propaganda bullshit reporters. Now let's listen to what communist Nancy Pelosi has to say, which isn't a whole lot of anything new other than she can't handle the President Trump being president. It's all right for her to say all kinds of shit, and I'm coming out with a video of all the things that Nancy Pelosi and AOC and all the rest of the Democrats say and have said. It's quite comical. These people are so hateful and racist themselves. The ones that go around calling others racist are the ones that are racist. The only thing that's racist and disgusting is you and your Democratic Party, the communist, Marxist, socialist, terrorist, Nancy Pelosi. You're the one that's disgusting and pathetic. You and your entire party. Maxine Waters, AOC, and all the other scumbags like Chuck Schumer. Y'all are just absolutely disgusting the way you're acting. Every damn one of you. Especially those four degenerates, young millennials, who are new to the Democratic Party. This is what you've let your party be infiltrated by, these communist, Marxist, socialist, terrorist, Nancy Pelosi, and the rest of your pathetic, disgusting, backwards-ass Democratic Liberal Party. It ain't even a party. It's a clown show is what it is. Let's listen. To protect the American people, she says. You mean the illegal aliens that you've let into this country illegally and given all kinds of free entitlements to, so you can get votes. Isn't that right, Nancy Commie Pelosi? You disgusting, senile old bag. Because that's what you are. You're a senile old bag.
The chair will remind all members, please do not make comments toward personality-based comments. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
I made a point of order that the gentlewoman's unparliamentary and request they be taken down.
Is the gentleman making a demand that the words be taken down?
Go ahead. I request that the gentlewoman's words are unparliamentary and request that they be taken down.
But we don't ever want to pass up, it seems, an opportunity to escalate. And that's what this is. I'll dare anybody to look at any of the footage and see if there was any unfairness. But unfairness is not enough, because we want to just fight. I abandon the chair.
And for those of you who don't know who Representative Emanuel Cleaver is, Democrat of Missouri, well, he's a Democrat that took out a loan for a car wash here in Kansas City through fraudulent means and lied on his application and got caught when he couldn't make the payments to the car wash for the loan that he took out. And it ended up going into default, and they took the car wash. He lied about how much money he was making to be able to afford the loan for the car wash in Kansas City, otherwise known as the car wash congressman or the car wash mayor of Kansas City, because he used to be mayor of Kansas City, Missouri at one time, and it was rifled with all kinds of corruption and fraud, typical coming out of the Democratic Party. You don't believe me? Just go Google Cleaver Car Wash or Emanuel Cleaver Car Wash. Watch what comes up. Google it and find out for yourself, but I'll put a link down below the video in the description for y'all so you can read it and see what he got himself into, how much trouble he got into when he got caught.
Grandview Car Wash, but did not pay back their $1.3 million loan. Why is the story from the spring news again this week, Dave Helling?
Because the court ordered the Cleaver Company, LLC, to file its response to the original lawsuit filed by Bank of America. And in essence, that response was basically not guilty. We didn't do anything wrong. There was no real argument, no evidence offered. It was just sort of a placeholder for what the Cleaver Company and Emanuel Cleaver are going to claim going forward. So it's sort of a record-keeping story. This is their response. The trial isn't until April. Frankly, Nick, I think I don't have any firsthand knowledge, but my guess is they are negotiating some sort of settlement. If you assume the congressman doesn't have $1.5 million to pay his debt, which I think we all do, but there's no real incentive for either side to settle before Election Day. The congressman, for obvious reasons, the bank really, it's Bank of America. It isn't as if they miss this money immediately, and it is guaranteed. Most of it's guaranteed, about 75 cents by the SBA. So my guess is discussions are going on to settle this, perhaps sell the car wash, but I wouldn't expect it to be settled by election day.
Now, Jake,
Cleaver's argument that this shouldn't be held against him doesn't hold water. The fact that he got the loan in 2002 prior to going to Congress doesn't rebut the fact that the business was run into the ground while he was in Congress, and that loan up to $1 million will be paid back by taxpayers and not the congressman himself. What Dave says is absolutely correct. They do not want to settle this at this point, because if you default on an SBA loan, your wages could be garnished, any dividends you hold from a corporation could be taken, as well as some of your personal bank accounts. Now, what does the congressman negotiate in this default? And if it's something better than you and I could get, then it's going to make a lot of political hay. So I kind of fought the local media, because there's a lot of questions that should be asked here that the congressman is not being pressed on. We are nitpicking Congressman Aiken over in Missouri, but we're not nitpicking on Cleaver. And I think maybe to some degree the media is picking favorites.
Yeah, well, a bank is suing Kansas City Congressman Emanuel Cleaver for allegedly defaulting on a business loan.
Well, today for the first time, Cleaver answered questions on camera about his car wash predicament. Chris Hernandez is here with the story. Chris?
Now, Bank of America filed a lawsuit against Cleaver. It seeks $1.5 million in principal, interest, and late fees. And there are questions about whether taxpayers could become liable for the loan.
This car wash in Grandview is owned by Kansas City Congressman Emanuel Cleaver and his wife Diane. Bank of America has sued them for default on the loan used to buy the business in 2002.
This was done before I went to Congress. I was a private citizen.
Cleaver wouldn't get into specifics of the lawsuit.
I'm not trying to hide the fact that I'm not going to litigate this in front of a TV camera.
But he blames his car wash troubles on the economy and says voters should understand that times are hard for everyone.
We've had tens of thousands of small businesses that have gone out of business all over this country. Tens of thousands of SBA loans all over the country. These have been some very tough times.
The Small Business Administration, a federal agency, says it backed 75% of the loan. Whether taxpayers are ever liable for the default depends on the outcome of the lawsuit, any sale of the car wash, and any payments on the loan.
Unless he will sprint to the bank and give them a check, we're going to be on the hook for this. And I would ask him to go ahead and do that and clear this matter up, and then it doesn't have to go through the courts.
Jacob Turk, who is running for Cleaver's office for the fourth time, plans to use the potential cost to taxpayers as a campaign issue. He also wants an ethics investigation. Turk claims Cleaver should have listed the loan on his financial disclosure form.
Now, the lawsuit calls for the court to appoint a receiver to liquidate or sell off the car wash. A hearing on that issue is scheduled for Monday.
It was just reached today in a lawsuit involving Representative Emanuel Cleaver and more than $1 billion in defaulted loans on a local car wash. Sarah Hollenbeck found out it's good news for taxpayers who would have been on the hook for part of that loan.
A settlement has been reached between Bank of America and a lawyer representing Emmanuel Cleaver, and right now a judge is signing off on that agreement. This all stems from the Grandview Auto Wash. Bank of America allegedly loaned Cleaver $1.3 million to purchase the business, but the lawsuit states that Cleaver and his wife defaulted on the loan, which went up to $1.5 million with principal, interest, and penalties. Taxpayers could have been on the hook for that money because the Small Business Administration has a taxpayer-backed guarantee on part of the loan, but the case was settled today. The judge is looking over this settlement and will release those details later on this afternoon. In downtown Kansas City, Sarah Hollenbeck, 41 Action News.